What if you could live a life free from stress, anxiety, and fear? Imagine being fully present in each moment, experiencing life with a sense of peace and clarity. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle is a spiritual guide that offers profound insights into how we can achieve this state of being. Tolle invites us to shift our focus from the past and the future, which are often the sources of our pain and dissatisfaction, to the present moment, the only place where life truly unfolds. Join me as we explore the key concepts of this transformative book and learn how to apply them to our everyday lives for greater peace, joy, and spiritual growth. Chapter 1. You are not your mind. In the first chapter of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle challenges one of the most deeply ingrained beliefs in modern society, the identification with the mind and its thoughts. Tolle argues that much of the suffering we experience in life stems from over-identifying with our thoughts, which are often rooted in past experiences or future anxieties. According to Tolle, the mind is a powerful tool, but it is not our true essence. Instead, our true self exists beyond the mind, in a state of pure awareness or consciousness. Tolle explains that the mind is constantly active, churning out thoughts about the past and worries about the future. This incessant mental chatter, or what Tolle refers to as the egoic mind, distracts us from the present moment, which is where life actually happens. When we identify with our mind and its thoughts, we become trapped in a cycle of endless thinking. This cycle can lead to stress, anxiety, and a sense of being overwhelmed, as our thoughts often replay past mistakes or anticipate future problems that may never occur. Tolle introduces the concept of the watcher or observer, the part of you that is aware of your thoughts but is not those thoughts. This observer is your true self, the consciousness behind the thinking mind. By cultivating this awareness, you can begin to disidentify from your mind and experience a sense of inner peace. The key is to realize that you are the awareness behind the thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. This shift in perspective allows you to observe your mind without getting caught up in its endless stream of chatter. To help readers understand this concept, Tolle offers a simple exercise. Try to pay attention to your thoughts as they arise without judging or reacting to them. Notice how your mind jumps from one thought to another, often without any clear direction. By practicing this exercise regularly, you can begin to see the difference between your thoughts and the awareness that observes them. This realization is the first step toward freeing yourself from the tyranny of the mind. Tolle also discusses the idea of mind-made self, or ego, which is the sense of self that is derived from thoughts, memories, and the stories we tell ourselves about who we are. The ego thrives on identification with the mind and is constantly seeking validation from external sources, whether through achievements, possessions, or social status. However, this sense of self is fragile and easily threatened, leading to insecurity and suffering. The key takeaway from this chapter is to start observing your thoughts without judgment. Recognize that you are not your mind, and by doing so, you can begin to experience a deeper sense of peace and presence in your life. By stepping back from the incessant mental chatter, you can connect with your true self, the observer behind the thoughts, and start living more fully in the present moment. Chapter 2. Consciousness, the way out of pain. In Chapter 2, Eckhart Tolle delves deeper into the relationship between pain and the mind. He explains that much of the pain we experience is self-created, a result of our resistance to the present moment. When we resist what is happening now, whether it's an emotion, situation, or thought, we create inner conflict and suffering. Tolle suggests that by becoming fully present and aware, we can transcend this pain and find peace. Tolle introduces the concept of the pain body, a term he uses to describe the accumulated emotional pain that lives within us. This pain body is like a separate entity that feeds on negative thoughts and emotions, and it often gets triggered by external events, causing us to react in ways that perpetuate our suffering. For example, a seemingly minor incident, such as a critical comment from a colleague, can trigger an intense emotional reaction if it resonates with unresolved pain from the past. The pain body latches onto this trigger and magnifies the pain, leading to disproportionate responses and further suffering. Pain body can be dormant for long periods, but when it is activated, it takes over our emotions and thoughts, leading us to act in ways that we might later regret. Tolle emphasizes that the pain body thrives in a state of unconsciousness, where we are unaware of its influence and react automatically to its impulses. The more we identify with our thoughts and emotions, the stronger the pain body becomes. The way out of this pain, Tolle suggests, is through consciousness, being fully present and aware in the moment. When we bring our attention to the present moment, we disarm the pain body because it can only survive in a state of unconsciousness. By staying present, we can observe the pain body without identifying with it, allowing it to dissipate over time. Tolle explains that the present moment is always bearable, no matter the situation. It is only when we project our mind into the past or future that we experience unbearable pain. The past is often filled with regrets and unresolved emotions, while the future is clouded with anxiety and fear of the unknown. By fully accepting the present moment, we can transcend suffering, find peace. To help readers stay present, Tolle suggests focusing on the sensations in your body, which can serve as an anchor to the present moment. When you feel the pain body arising, try to observe it without judgment, and bring your attention to your breath or the physical sensations in your body. This practice helps you remain grounded in the now and prevents the pain body from taking control. The key takeaway from this chapter is to practice presence and acceptance in every moment. By doing so, you can break free from the cycle of pain and live with greater ease and serenity. The more you practice staying present, the more you can disidentify from the pain body and experience the peace that comes from living in the now. Chapter 3. Moving deeply into the now. In Chapter 3, Tolle explores the idea that the present moment is the only true reality. He explains that the past and future are mental constructs. They exist only in our minds, not in reality. The past is simply a collection of memories, and the future is a projection of our hopes and fears. The only moment that truly exists is the now. Tolle argues that by focusing on the present moment, we can access a deeper level of consciousness and experience life more fully. This involves letting go of our attachment to past regrets and future worries, and bringing our attention fully to what is happening right now. He suggests that many of us spend our lives trapped in psychological time, constantly reliving the past or anticipating the future, and in doing so, we miss the richness of the present moment. To illustrate this, Tolle asks readers to consider a simple exercise. Stop whatever you are doing and focus your attention fully on the present moment. Notice the sights, sounds, and sensations around you. Pay attention to your breath, feeling of your body, and the emotions you are experiencing. As you do this, you may notice that your mind is constantly trying to pull you away from the now, drawing you back into thoughts about the past or future. By gently bringing your attention back to the present moment, you can begin to experience a sense of peace and clarity. Tolle also introduces the concept of clock time versus psychological time. Clock time refers to the practical use of time, such as scheduling and planning. It is necessary for functioning in the world, as it allows us to organize our lives and meet our responsibilities. However, Tolle warns against living in psychological time, which is the mental habit of dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. When we live in psychological time, we disconnect from the present moment and become trapped in a cycle of regret and anxiety. Tolle emphasizes that, while clock time is necessary for practical purposes, it should not dominate our lives. The goal is to use clock time for planning and organizing while staying rooted in the present moment. For example, you can set goals for the future, but your attention should remain on the steps you are taking right now to achieve those goals. By staying present, you can approach your tasks with greater focus and effectiveness. One of the practices Tolle suggests for deepening your presence in the now is mindfulness. Mindfulness involves paying close attention to your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment. For example, if you're walking, be fully aware of the sensation of your feet on the ground, the movement of your body, and the sights and sounds around you. This mindfulness practice helps anchor you in the present moment and allows you to experience life with greater clarity and joy. The key takeaway from this chapter is that the present moment is all we ever truly have. By fully embracing the now, we can access a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment in our lives. Tolle encourages readers to practice mindfulness and to let go of their attachment to past and future thoughts. The more we can live in the now, the more we can experience the beauty and richness of life as it unfolds. Chapter 4. Mind Strategies for Avoiding the Now. In Chapter 4, Tolle explores the various strategies the mind uses to avoid being present. He explains that the mind often creates problems and distractions to keep us from fully experiencing the now. These strategies include excessive thinking, worrying, and daydreaming, all of which take us out of the present moment. Tolle explains that the mind is constantly seeking ways to avoid the present moment, because the now represents a state of being that is free from the mind's control. When we are fully present, the mind loses its grip on us, and we experience a sense of peace and stillness that transcends thought. However, the mind is resistant to this state because it thrives on activity, whether it's dwelling on past events or projecting into the future. One common strategy the mind uses to avoid the now is excessive thinking. The mind creates a continuous stream of thoughts that distract us from the present moment. These thoughts often revolve around past experiences or future possibilities, leading to feelings of regret, anxiety, or anticipation. Tolle argues that these thoughts are illusions, and by recognizing them as such, we can break free from their grip and return to the present moment. For example, you might find yourself replaying a past conversation in your mind, thinking about what you could have said differently. Or you might worry about a future event, imagining all the things that could go wrong. In both cases, the mind is pulling you away from the present moment, causing unnecessary stress and anxiety. Tolle suggests that when you notice this happening, you should bring your attention back to the now by focusing on your breath or the sensations in your body. This practice helps you detach from the mind's distractions and stay grounded in the present. Another strategy the mind uses is to create a false sense of identity based on external factors, such as possessions, achievements, or social status. This egoic mind thrives on comparisons and judgments, constantly seeking validation from the outside world. Tolle explains that this false identity is a significant barrier to living in the now, because it keeps us focused on maintaining an image rather than experiencing life as it is. The ego is deeply invested in maintaining a sense of separation and superiority, compares itself to others, seeking to prove its worth through external achievements or possessions. However, this constant need for validation creates a sense of lack and insecurity, leading to a never-ending cycle of striving and dissatisfaction. Tolle suggests that by recognizing the ego for what it is, a mind-made sense of self, we can begin to disidentify from it and experience the freedom of living in the now. Tolle encourages readers to become aware of these mind strategies and to practice observing them without getting caught up in them. This awareness allows us to see through the mind's illusions and return to the simplicity and peace of the present moment. For example, the next time you find yourself worrying about the future or replaying a past event, try to step back and observe your thoughts as if you were watching a movie. Notice the patterns and the emotions they evoke, but resist the urge to engage with them. Instead, bring your focus back to the present moment and notice how your perspective shifts. The key takeaway from this chapter is to recognize the mind's strategies for avoiding the now and to practice bringing your attention back to the present moment. By doing so, you can free yourself from the mind's distractions and experience life more fully. Tolle reminds us that the present moment is the gateway to true peace and fulfillment. And by staying present, we can transcend the limitations of the mind and connect with our true essence. Chapter 5. The State of Presence. In Chapter 5, Tolle introduces the concept of presence, a state of being fully aware and connected to the present moment. He describes presence as the essence of who we are beyond the mind and the ego. When we are present, we experience life with clarity, peace, and a deep sense of connection to the world around us. Tolle explains that presence is not something we need to achieve or create. It is our natural state of being. However, it is often obscured by the constant activity of the mind and the ego. The mind is always busy analyzing, judging, and categorizing our experiences, while the ego is preoccupied with maintaining its sense of identity and self-importance. This constant mental activity creates a barrier between us and the present moment, making it difficult to experience the peace and stillness that comes with being fully present. To experience presence, we need to quiet the mind and let go of our attachment to thoughts and judgment. Tolle suggests that one way to cultivate presence is through meditation and mindfulness practices. These practices help us to focus our attention on the present moment and to observe our thoughts without getting caught up in them. By regularly practicing mindfulness, we can train our minds to be more present and less dominated by habitual thinking. Tolle also discusses the idea that presence is a state of no mind, where the mind is still and we are fully aware of the present moment. In this state, we are not identified with our thoughts, emotions, or the external world. Instead, we experience a deep sense of peace and connection to the source of all life. For example, imagine sitting quietly in a park, watching the trees sway in the wind. In this moment of stillness, you are not thinking about the past or the future. You are simply observing the beauty of nature. This is a state of presence, where the mind is quiet and you are fully immersed in the experience of the now. Tolle suggests that by cultivating this state of presence in our daily lives, we can experience a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment. Another aspect of presence is the ability to accept what is without resistance or judgment. Tolle explains that much of our suffering comes from resisting the present moment, wishing things were different, or judging our current situation as inadequate. However, when we fully accept the present moment as it is, without trying to change it or escape from it, we experience a sense of peace and freedom. This acceptance does not mean passivity or resignation. Rather, it is an active engagement with life as it is, without the interference of the mind's judgment. Tolle emphasizes that presence is not a state that we can force or achieve through willpower. It is a natural state that arises when we let go of our attachment to the mind and the ego. The more we practice mindfulness and meditation, the easier it becomes to access this state of presence in our daily lives. The key takeaway from this chapter is that presence is our natural state of being, and by cultivating it, we can experience life with greater peace, clarity, and joy. Practicing mindfulness and meditation can help us return to this state and live more fully in the now. Tolle encourages readers to make presence a central focus of their spiritual practice, as it is the key to transcending the limitations of the mind and connecting with the deeper reality of life. Chapter 6: The Inner Body. In Chapter 6 of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle introduces the concept of the inner body, which he describes as a gateway to experiencing the present moment more deeply. The inner body refers to the subtle energy field that exists within and around our physical body. This energy field is not something that can be seen with the physical eyes, but it can be felt as a sense of aliveness and vitality within us. By bringing our attention to the inner body, Tolle explains, we can connect more deeply with the present moment and cultivate a sense of presence that is grounded in the here and now. Tolle begins by explaining that most people are disconnected from their inner body as they are too focused on the external world or caught up in their thoughts. Our attention is often directed outward, toward the demands of daily life, pursuit of goals, or the distractions of modern technology. This outward focus leads to a sense of disconnection from our true selves and can result in feelings of emptiness, stress, and a lack of fulfillment. When we are disconnected from our inner body, we lose touch with the deeper dimension of consciousness that is always present within us. To reconnect with the inner body, Tolle suggests a simple but powerful practice. Bring your attention away from your thoughts and focus it on the sensations in your body. Start by directing your awareness to different parts of your body, such as your hands, feet, or chest, and notice the sensations and energy in those areas. You might feel a subtle tingling, warmth, or a sense of aliveness. As you continue to focus on these sensations, you may begin to feel more grounded and present in the moment. Tolle explains that this practice of body awareness helps to anchor you in the present moment and deepens your connection to your inner self. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to shift your attention away from the incessant mental chatter and into a state of presence. This state of presence allows you to experience life more fully, with greater clarity and joy. Tolle also discusses the close relationship between the inner body and the breath. He explains that by focusing on your breath and feeling the energy flow within your body, you can enter a state of deep relaxation and presence. The breath serves as a bridge between the external world and the inner body, helping to bring your attention inward and quiet the mind. By practicing mindful breathing, you can enhance your overall sense of vitality and connection. The practice of connecting with the inner body has several benefits. First, it helps reduce stress by calming the mind and bringing you into a state of relaxation. When you are focused on your inner body, it becomes difficult for anxious thoughts to take hold. Second, it enhances your sense of aliveness and well-being, as you become more attuned to the subtle energy that flows through you. Third, it strengthens your connection to the present moment, making it easier to remain grounded and focused in the now, even in the midst of challenging situations. Tolle emphasizes that the inner body is always present, even if we are not always aware of it. By regularly practicing body awareness and mindful breathing, we can cultivate a deeper sense of presence and experience life with greater richness and depth. The key takeaway from this chapter is that by connecting with your inner body, you can deepen your experience of the present moment and cultivate a greater sense of aliveness and well-being. Regularly practicing body awareness and mindful breathing can help you stay grounded in the now and experience life more fully. Chapter 7. Portals into the Unmanifested. In Chapter 7, Eckhart Tolle delves into the concept of the unmanifested, which he describes as the formless, timeless dimension of consciousness that exists beyond the physical world and the mind. While the manifested world is the realm of form, the world we perceive with our senses, the unmanifested is the source of all creation, essence of life itself. It is the state of pure being, free from the limitations of time, space, and thought. Tolle explains that the unmanifested is the underlying reality that gives rise to all forms, but it itself is formless and beyond human comprehension. It is the stillness, silence, and space that underlies all existence. By connecting with the unmanifested, we can experience a deep sense of peace, joy, and oneness with the universe. This connection allows us to transcend the limitations of the mind and the ego and align ourselves with our true nature. One of the ways to access the unmanifested is through portals, which are entry points into this deeper dimension of consciousness. Tolle identifies several portals that can help us connect with the unmanifested and experience its stillness and peace. The inner body. As discussed in Chapter 6, focusing on the inner body allows us to connect with the energy field within and experience the unmanifested. By directing our attention inward and feeling the aliveness within our body, we can transcend the mind and enter a state of presence. This presence is a portal to the unmanifested, where we can experience the pure consciousness underlies all form. Silence. Tolle emphasizes the importance of embracing silence, both external and internal. In moments of silence, we can become aware of the stillness within and connect with the unmanifest. Silence is more than just the absence of sound. It is a gateway to the deeper dimension of being. When we immerse ourselves in silence, we can hear the voice of the unmanifested, which speaks to us through the stillness and quietude. Space. Tolle encourages us to pay attention to the spaces between objects, sounds, or thoughts as opportunities to experience the unmanifest. Space, like silence, is formless and cannot be grasped by the mind. However, by becoming aware of the spaces around us and within us, we can access the formless dimension of consciousness. For example, when you listen to music, you can focus not only on the notes, but also on the spaces between the notes. These spaces represent the unmanifested, the source from which all sound arises. Conscious breathing. Mindful breathing, where we focus on the breath entering and leaving the body, is another powerful portal into the unmanifested. The breath is a direct link between the physical body and the unmanifested. and by focusing on it, we can anchor ourselves in the present moment and experience the stillness within. Tolle suggests that conscious breathing can be practiced at any time, even during everyday activities, to maintain a connection with the unmanifested. Tolle explains that by regularly connecting with the unmanifested through these portals, we can cultivate a deeper sense of presence and experience life with greater clarity and peace. This connection helps us to transcend the limitations of the mind and the ego, allowing us to live more fully in alignment with our true nature. The key takeaway from this chapter is that by accessing the unmanifested through portals such as the inner body, silence, space, and conscious breathing, we can experience a deeper dimension of consciousness and live with greater peace and fulfillment. Tolle encourages readers to explore these portals in their daily lives and to cultivate a connection with the unmanifest, which is the source of all true peace and joy. Chapter 8: Enlightened Relationships. In Chapter 8, Eckhart Tolle shifts the focus to relationships and how the principles of presence and consciousness can transform them. He explains that most relationships are rooted in egoic patterns, where individuals seek to fulfill their needs and desires through others. This leads to relationships based on dependency, control, and conflict, as the ego constantly seeks validation and security through the other person. Tolle introduces the concept of enlightened relationships, which are relationships rooted in presence and mutual respect. In an enlightened relationship, both individuals are aware of their own inner state and take responsibility for their emotions and reactions. This awareness allows them to communicate openly, without judgment or blame, and to support each other's growth and well-being. Tolle begins by explaining that traditional relationships are often fraught with tension and conflict because they are based on egoic needs. The ego uses relationships to reinforce its sense of identity and to satisfy its desires for approval, control, and power. However, because the ego is never truly satisfied, it leads to constant dissatisfaction and conflict in relationships. The other person becomes a means to an end, rather than being appreciated for who they are. One of the key challenges in relationships is the activation of the pain body. Tolle explains that the pain body often gets triggered in close relationships, leading to emotional reactions and conflict. The pain body is an accumulation of old emotional pain that lives within us, and it is easily activated by interactions with those closest to us, such as partners, family members, close friends. When the pain body is triggered, it takes over our emotions and thoughts, leading to reactive behavior that can harm the relationship. However, Tolle suggests that by practicing presence and observing the pain body without identifying with it, individuals can prevent these reactions from escalating and maintain a sense of peace and harmony in the relationship. The key is to remain present and aware when the pain body is activated, and to observe it without getting caught up in its drama. By doing so, you can prevent the pain body from taking control, and instead respond to the situation with calm and clarity. Tolle also emphasizes the importance of accepting the other person as they are, without trying to change or control them. This acceptance creates a space of unconditional love and allows the relationship to flourish in a healthy and supportive way. In an enlightened relationship, both individuals recognize that they are not responsible for each other's happiness. Instead, they support each other's growth and well-being by being fully present and accepting. Tolle explains that enlightened relationships are not based on the ego's needs, but on a shared sense of presence and connection. In such relationships, there is no need for control, manipulation, or dependency, because both individuals are grounded in their own inner peace and fulfillment. This creates a space where love can flow freely, without the distortions of the ego. To cultivate enlightened relationships, Tolle suggests practicing presence in all interactions with others. This means being fully aware of your own inner state and taking responsibility for your emotions, rather than projecting them onto the other person. It also means listening deeply and empathetically, without judgment or the need to impose your views. By doing so, you create a space of presence that allows for genuine connection and understanding. The key takeaway from this chapter that by cultivating presence and awareness in our relationships, we can transform them into enlightened relationships based on love, respect, and mutual growth. By taking responsibility for our own inner state and accepting others as they are, we can create relationships that are fulfilling and harmonious. Chapter 9, Beyond Happiness and Unhappiness. There is peace. In Chapter 9, Tolle explores the idea that true peace lies beyond the duality of happiness and unhappiness. He explains that most people seek happiness through external circumstances, believing that achieving certain goals or acquiring certain possessions will bring them lasting joy. However, this pursuit of happiness is ultimately futile because it is based on the illusion that external conditions can provide lasting fulfillment. Tolle argues that true peace comes from within, from a state of being that is not dependent on external circumstances. This state of inner peace is beyond the fluctuations of happiness and unhappiness. It is a state of contentment and equanimity that is present regardless of what is happening in the external world. Tolle describes this state as the peace that passes all understanding, a peace that is not dependent on the changing conditions of life. One way to access this state of peace is by practicing acceptance of the present moment. Tolle emphasizes that by fully accepting whatever arises in the now, without resisting or judging it, we can transcend the ups and downs of life and experience a deep sense of peace. Acceptance means acknowledging and embracing the present moment as it is, without wishing it were different or trying to change it. When we resist the present moment, we create inner conflict and suffering. But when we accept it, we align ourselves with the flow of life and experience peace. Tolle also discusses the concept of surrender, which involves letting go of our attachment to outcomes and trusting in the unfolding of life. Surrender is not about giving up or being passive. Rather, it is about aligning ourselves with the flow of life and being at peace with whatever comes our way. Surrender means recognizing that we are not in control of everything, and that life has its own intelligence and rhythm. By surrendering to this flow, we can experience a sense of ease and harmony, even in challenging situations. Tolle explains that the pursuit of happiness often leads to dissatisfaction because it is based on the ego's need for more success, more possessions, more validation. The ego believes that happiness is always just around the corner, waiting to be achieved once certain conditions are met. However, this mindset keeps us trapped in a cycle of seeking and never truly finding fulfillment. True peace, Tolle argues, is found in the present moment, when we let go of our attachment to outcomes and embrace life as it is. To cultivate this state of peace, Tolle suggests practicing mindfulness and presence in everyday life. This means being fully aware of your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without getting caught up in them. It also means observing the mind's tendency to seek happiness in external circumstances and gently redirecting your attention to the present moment. By doing so, you can access the peace that is always available within you, regardless of the external condition. The key takeaway from this chapter is that true peace is found within, beyond the duality of happiness and unhappiness. By practicing acceptance and surrender, we can access this state of peace and live with greater equanimity and fulfillment. Tolle encourages readers to let go of their attachment to external outcomes and to find peace in the present moment, where life truly unfolds. Chapter 10, The Meaning of Surrender. In the final chapter of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle delves deeper into the concept of surrender and its significance in achieving spiritual enlightenment. He explains that surrender is not about giving up or resigning oneself to fate, but rather about yielding to the present moment and accepting life as it is. Surrender is a powerful practice that allows us to transcend the limitations of the mind and the ego and experience true peace and freedom. Tolle begins by explaining that resistance to the present moment is the source of much of our suffering. When we resist what is happening now, whether it's a situation, emotion, or thought, we create inner conflict and tension. This resistance arises from the mind's desire to control and manipulate reality, fit its own expectations and desires. However, life often unfolds in ways that are beyond our control, and when we resist these natural flows, we experience frustration, anger, and disappointment. Surrender, on the other hand, involves fully accepting the present moment without resistance, allowing us to experience a sense of peace and freedom. Surrender means letting go of the need to control and manipulate life, and instead trusting in the wisdom and intelligence of the universe. When we surrender, we align ourselves with the flow of life and experience a sense of ease and harmony, even in the face of challenges. Tolle emphasizes that surrender is not about being passive or indifferent. It is about taking conscious action in alignment with the present moment, without being attached to the result. This approach allows us to respond to life with clarity and presence, rather than reacting out of fear or desire. Surrender does not mean giving up on our goals or dreams. It means pursuing them with a sense of openness and flexibility, allowing life to unfold as it will. Tolle explains that surrender is a powerful practice that leads to spiritual enlightenment. When we surrender, we let go of the ego's need for control and open ourselves to the deeper reality of life. This surrender allows us to experience the peace that comes from living in alignment with our true nature, beyond the mind and the ego. Tolle also discusses the role of acceptance in the practice of surrender. Acceptance means acknowledging and embracing the present moment as it is, without wishing it were different or trying to change it. When we accept the present moment, we align ourselves with the flow of life and experience peace. Acceptance does not mean complacency or resignation. It means being fully present and engaged with life, while also being at peace with whatever arises. The practice of surrender and acceptance can be applied to all aspects of life, from the mundane, the profound. Whether we are dealing with a difficult situation at work, challenging relationship, or a health issue, surrender allows us to approach these situations with a sense of peace and clarity. By letting go of our attachment to outcomes and trusting in the wisdom of life, we can navigate these challenges with greater ease and grace. The key takeaway from this chapter is that surrender is a powerful practice that leads to spiritual enlightenment. By yielding to the present moment and letting go of our attachment to outcomes, we can experience a deep sense of peace and freedom, and live in alignment with the flow of life. Tolle encourages readers to make surrender a central focus of their spiritual practice, as it is the key to transcending the limitations of the mind and the ego and experiencing true peace and fulfillment. Conclusion: The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle is a profound guide to spiritual enlightenment, offering insights and practices that can help us transcend the mind and ego and live fully in the present moment. The book teaches us that true peace, joy, and fulfillment are found not in the past or future, but in the now, the only place where life truly happens. By practicing presence, mindfulness, and surrender, we can break free from the cycle of suffering and experience a deeper sense of connection to ourselves, others, and the world around us. Whether you are new to spiritual practice or have been on the path for some time, Power of Now offers timeless wisdom that can transform your life. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the Power of Now. If you found this summary helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, Beyond Books, for more insightful book summaries. Share your thoughts and experiences with presence and mindfulness in the comments below. Until next time, remember, present moment is all we ever truly have. Embrace it and live fully in the now.